Good evening, everyone. We're back again on day 2 of Rotary Listens to You, a program designed by the Rotary 3190 War Room to help the people who need emotional support. So, yesterday we had fantastic learning. Many of you joined on Zoom, many of you saw the video on YouTube. So, kindly share the video further so that everyone can learn from this and help people, our near and dear ones. To talk about this program again, I would like to request the program director, Shobha ji, our president from Platinum City, to say a few words about why we are doing this particular program and how we are trying to create a significant impact. Shobha ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Krishna. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this second day of the training program of Rotary Listens to You. For those of you who are new to Rotary, Rotary is an international service organization spread across 200 countries with more than 1.2 million members. Rotary District 3190 comprises of almost 150 Rotary clubs. And this initiative, the COVID War Room Initiative, is an initiative of Rotary District 3190. The COVID War Room has been launched to help and appraise people and then connect them to their different needs and then guide them during this uncertainty and the troublesome period of COVID pandemic. The Rotary Listens to You is one of the arms of the COVID War Room of District 3190. Through this initiative, Rotary Listens to You, we wish to reach out to those callers through telephonic conversations and counseling and try to lessen their panic, anguish, and try to lessen the burden on their shoulders. In this platform, Rotary Listens to You, I'm with you all. I'm Dr. Shobha, a counselor and an educator by profession, and I'm currently the president of Rotary Club of Platinum City. And along with us in the Rotary Listens to You program, we have very committed, senior, very highly accomplished and trained counselors drawn across different parts. We also have in the core team leading counselors, Rotarian Stephen Paul, Mrs. Geeta Vish, Dr. Madhurani Gowda, we have Mrs. Kalpana, and we will be having more people joining us. In the tech team, we have Protractor Krishna Arjun, Abhinav, and Karthik Kittu. This is a team which is growing and roaring to grow and connect to people and help you all. On the first day, yesterday, we launched this Rotary Listens to You initiative, and our most honorable district governor, Rotarian B.L. Nagendra Prasad, launched this initiative of Rotary Listens to You. We had about 66 plus participants, the counselors, the volunteers who are with us in the learning session yesterday, and the basics of this program, the needs and goals, and a couple of very important sessions were handled by leading counselors. We are back with you for the training program today, and we have interesting sessions which are going to unfold very soon. So we are going to have a session on listening skills by Rotarian Stephen Paul. We will be having another interesting session, grief counseling and handling prank calls by Mrs. Geeta Vish. That will be followed by a brief up by our technical team, which will be followed by a summary, recap, and case presentation by me. That will be followed by a question answer session. My dear participants, we are all here to serve. Rotary is determined to raise above self in service, and that is the motto of Rotary. We're really glad that you're all with us in this initiative, strengthening Rotary and also reaching out to people in distress. And it certainly means a lot to people who are in trouble. And the phone calls, the counseling can really make a difference and touch their lives. Thank you for logging in. Please spread the word, and thanks for your time and effort. Over to our first speaker, Mr. Rotarian Stephen Paul, for a very interesting session on listening skills. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Krishna, can anybody unmute if I ask a question?
Just a second, sir.
Is anybody allowed to unmute if I ask a question? and they would like to answer.
As of now, they are, sir. If you want to change the
Okay.
settings, we can. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. It's very heartening to see so many people coming forward, wanting to help. Rotary has always been at the forefront of helping society when in need, the world over. So it's really a pleasure to see so many people who might be Rotarians, who are not Rotarians, who want to join this great organization in reaching out and helping people. I am Rotarian Stephen Paul. I've been a Rotarian for the past 26 years. I started out long back in 1975 as a Rotractor, Krishna, and then graduated to be a Rotarian. I am also a retired CEO of an organization, an international organization, but now I'm into a hobby. I am a motivational speaker, a trainer, and a counselor in stress management. So I help people help themselves. I would like to ask you all a question. There is a group of 37 people. Which of you feels he or she is the most intelligent in the group? You can unmute and tell me who you are. Anyone who feels he or she is the most intelligent in this group of 38 now? Anyone? Okay, if there's no one, it's good. About me and you've seen on the slide, I don't want to blow my trumpet any further. Let's go to the next slide. In counseling, confidence is good, but overconfidence is bad. Because you need confidence to handle a total stranger. Someone calls and you don't even know who they are, what they are, but yet you have to answer them. So you have to be confident, but don't be overconfident and try to solve all their problems, because that cannot happen. Next slide. Next slide, please. Can anyone tell me what this is? Okay, I'll tell you a small story. Elderly lady got onto a bus and she was going inside. The bus started and she was getting inside to get a seat. In one of the front rows, a young man was sitting. He got up, was trying to get up. This lady put her hand on his shoulder and said, "Don't worry, my son. There are seats at the back. I'll go and sit there." This man laughed at her, gave her a nice smile, and still was about to get up. The lady got a bit annoyed and she said, no, that's okay. You sit down. I'll find a seat elsewhere. In spite of that, this young guy was about to get up. The old lady was quite annoyed at this time. And she said, "Look here, I told you I don't need your seat." The young man gave her a nice big smile and said, "Auntie, I have to get down at the next bus stop." Many a times it happens that we don't listen. Next slide, please. See, we have multiple sensory organs, and when used simultaneously, they help in learning. But one primary organ that helps learning is the ear, through which we receive the auditory messages. It is said that all learning begins with the ear, not the eye. It is, in fact, the ear that allows us to learn to speak. The picture at the bottom shows you an ear being tweaked. I think many of us have gone through that process. Krishna, this next slide. Paul and Whitlow emphasize this by saying that it is the ear that serves as the main feedback mechanism in the development and production of speech. In fact, they go on to say, not to hear will hinder the ability to speak. Listening also precedes the learning to read and write, isn't it? Next slide. There is a difference between listening and hearing. Listening is voluntary. It requires a conscious effort. It is an active process. The listener plays a very active part. It is a two-way interactive process engaging both the speaker and the listener. Whereas in hearing, hearing is involuntary. You can hear or you can even turn your mind off. And it happens automatically. It's a passive process, and the listener plays a very passive part. And most importantly, it's only a one-way process. Next slide. Hearing is a physical act, while listening is a mental act. That is why there is a skill to listening. And that's why this skill is very vital for the art of counseling. Because, dear friends, counseling is an art. It is not a mere act. It is an art. Please remember that. Next slide. There are 6 major components in the art of listening. What are they? The first is voluntary attention. To be insightful. To be able to interpret both verbal and non-verbal cues. This is very, very important. Both verbal or non-verbal cues that the speaker gives to you. To make a conscious effort to recall what they have said. You have to remember and recall, bring back, so that when you talk to them and or answer them, you have to know you have to remember what they said earlier. To provide a feedback by responding. Also, we should care about the narrator as we listen. But remember, never get emotionally involved. Please don't get carried away by their problems, because you are there to listen and give a shoulder to lean upon, and that's the end of it. It is not to solve their problems, are you there? Because it is humanly impossible to solve everyone's problem, isn't it? We can listen, we can give a piece of advice, we can help them along, we can give them a walking stick. We can't be a crutch, remember. Being a counselor is to give a walking stick to a person, not to be a crutch. Next slide, please. There are 4 important stages in counseling. What are they? The first is hearing and focusing. The second is to decode and to interpret what the person has said. Then to evaluate and to estimate what is their problem. And then to react and to respond to whatever their problem is. And these are the 4 stages which are very vital to be a good counselor. Next slide. The importance of listening. It is very, very important to be a good listener and to have listening skills or to master the art of listening. Because many a times we miss out. Most of us are in the habit of rushing into giving an answer before the person closes his statement. So the art of listening is very important for counseling, because listening makes the person who is talking feel worthy, feel appreciated, feel respected. They should feel wanted, that the person listening to them is trying to help them out. When we give our undivided attention, the speaker responds, and they interact by going to the next level, a deeper level of personal information which they give you. But please remember, personal information is to be forgotten, not filed. Next. Patient listening is another very important aspect in counseling. Patient listening. Because when a client is speaking, focus on what they are saying rather than focusing or thinking in your mind already what answer you're going to give. No, you've got to focus first on what they are saying. And then remember, even if you disagree with the client, try to keep an open mind and allow the client to finish before you reply. And lastly, and most importantly, eliminate all distraction. Please don't show a level of distraction when the speaker is talking to you. They'll get very irritated. Some people might just close the call there. Because if you're not interested in what they're saying, what's the point in talking? So please don't do that. And it'll only ruffle feathers rather than, giving them more solace. Next. Active participation. This is very important. Active listening requires more than just listening to what a client says. It involves taking an active interest in the other person, making sure they are comfortable by disclosing their personal information to you. They should be rock sure that the person I'm talking to, the person I'm giving this information, is never going to take advantage of this information. They are, in fact, going to be helpful rather than to be harmful. A counselor should always take into account the body language of the speaker that is being displayed. How? What are their emotions? How are they talking to you? Is it in an agitated voice or is it in a peaceful voice? What is their state of mind? Their state of mind is displayed through their voice. We call it voice modulation. In fact, when you speak back, it is very, very important you modulate your voice. I would, in fact, request our leader, Dr. Shobha, if we could have a session where we talk to the volunteers on how and they should reply and how they should modulate their voice when they are giving a point of solace. It's very important.
Yeah, certainly, sir. We shall have mock sessions in the forthcoming days.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Can we go to the next slide? Reflective listening. This is very important. Krishna, can you just, slide is not proper. Yeah, thank you. This is the process of restating. Reflective listening is the process of restating what you have just heard from the listener, so that the client understands that you have clearly heard him or her and you have understood their problem. Because if you exhibit that you have not clearly understood what they feel, why did I waste my time talking to this person? So it is very, very important. Reflective listening is very, very important for counseling. It is the process of restating to the client what you have heard from him or her. It is a confirmation that the counselor validates the client by acknowledging what is being. You're validating what he said or she said. She has stated a problem. And yes, you said, yes, I understand your problem and I will try to help you. You have to validate the problem. Because if you deviate from that, the entire emphasis of counseling is to validate the problem. But if you deviate from that, the speaker feels, what has happened? I spent half an hour talking to this person and she or he hasn't understood anything of what my problem is. And they will get even more agitated, even more panicky, even more stressful. Our job is to lessen the stress in the person, not to add to it. Paraphrasing. This is when a counselor offers a concise statement of what he or she has heard from the speaker, because this is a very, very useful and important tool in counseling. Next. Mind you, we all go through this. Mental blocks while listening. We all go through that. It's inevitable and it's a part and parcel of the process of counseling. So be very careful to put away these mental blocks because while listening, it is very important that the counselor is not distracted. Secondly, the counselor should never get into a judgmental mood. Forming judgments is a big mental block to active listening. Because once you've made up your mind, oh, this person is this, or his problem is this, and you've already arrived at a solution, then what happens? You stop listening to the person. You stop interacting with him. You stop getting into him. And once he starts feeling that you are moving away, a mental block is created, and that will never solve the problem. And mind you, mental blocks are very, very vital. Once they are created, moving away from it, especially for a person who is in a panic state, who's in a stressful mood, moving away from it will be not only difficult, but it will add to their problem. So be very careful while listening. You should not have mental blocks. The counselor must be aware of their listening habits. Before you get into a counseling session, just do a mental reassessment of what you want to do and have to do and can do. See, we all have our limitations. Nobody is perfect. We all have certain limitations. So when you know your limitations, you have to reassess them before you go into a counseling session. Because once you enter the room of counseling, once you enter speaking or hearing a client, it's very difficult if you have not assessed what you can do. Next. Listening skills in a nutshell. L stands for look interested, get interested. Not only looking, mind you, you have to get interested. I stands for involve yourself by responding. S stands for stay on target. Don't for a minute move away from the problem. Focus. You have to, the problem is your bullseye. You have to focus all your concentration, all your thoughts, all your mental ability on the problem, because ultimately that is what you are there to help or solve. It is not just to say hi or bye. It is to listen to a person who's having a problem, trying to help them out, to get out of that situation and to become more normal and therefore have a better living. E stands for to evaluate the message. Whatever has been spoken, you've got to first evaluate it briefly in your mind. Your brain is a computer. Feed it with what message you have received, and then click on it and get your answer. But mind you, your answer has to stick to the problem only. And very, very importantly, neutralize your feeling. You are a neutral person. You are not taking any sides. You have to just listen and try to bring them out of that present situation of panic. That is important. They have to be brought out of that. That is what counseling is all about. It is to relieve a person. It is to give a person, regenerate hope in a person. It is to tell a person that we are there and you have there. We are giving you a stick to hold on, to get up, and maybe to run again. That's what counseling is all about. Next. An eminent educational theorist, Peter Jarvis, said, learning isn't just something which is added to life. Learning isn't just something that is added to life. It's life itself. There cannot be any real living without learning. All of us, no matter how big we are, how well educated we are, how well traveled we are, we all have to keep our mind's eye open to learn every minute, every second. And mind you, you can learn from the least of persons. You might think that guy is very unimportant or that lady is very unimportant. But mind you, if you really open your mind's eye, you can learn a lot from them. Because learning is at the heart of living. Because listening determines learning. Listening determines learning. Finally, to conclude, next. As I said, listening is an art. It's an art that requires attention over talent. You might be very talented. You might be very well educated. You might have traveled all around the globe. You might have been a big CEO of an organization. But remember, when you act as a counselor, you have to shed all of that and be an ordinary counselor who is willing to pay attention to the person who needs your help and support. Spirit over ego. All of us have egos, don't we? I remember when I joined a communications management course where the faculty was one of the best speakers in India, Rusi Modi. When we were all in the higher management level when we took this uh, course. And when we were about to enter the room, he told all of us, we were 38 of us, all regional managers and CEOs of companies. This guy tells us, look here, stop. Leave your designations, your names, and your egos on the doormat and only then enter the class. When we go in for counseling, we have to leave our ego behind. And we have to have the spirit of humility to listen to people and to help people. Others over self. We have to place the other person and his problem or her problem above ourselves. We might be also undergoing trauma at that particular moment. But if we have volunteered to help people at that moment, that is more important than our personal problem. And that's why you can summarize counseling in one single statement, which is the motto of Rotary: service above self. For the last slide, Krishna. So friends, let's get together. Let's hold hands and get together to reach out and touch lives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. Shobha ma'am, please go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Rotarian Paul, sir. That was wonderful. You have aptly touched upon the salient features of listening skills and driven home the point very emphatically. Thank you so much. We should come back to you during the question and answer session.
Sure.
We now move on to Madam Geeta Vish, who will be talking about handling prank calls and about grief counseling. Madam Geeta, with a brief self-introduction, you could begin, please. Over to you.
Thank you, Shobha, Dr. Shobha, and thank you so much. Nothing much. I'm the secretary of the Inner Wheel Club of Bangalore, and I've had 15 years of experience as a counselor. I don't want to talk too much about myself. It's more about how we're going to help people. So I think this much of introduction is good enough. So now I would first see my co-counselors have talked to you all about the understanding and handling emotions, the empathy quotient, and also the listening skills. But we are doing telephonic counselings, and there are a lot of limitations. Limitations like one, in a face-to-face counseling, you can see your caller or client, who he is, how he is, and what are his emotions on his face, etc. But this is not there in a telephonic counseling. So what here the counselor will not be able to see the clients or the caller. They will not be able, if the person is in distress, which most of them, many of them are, you won't be able to see that. So you will not be able to understand that. And the most part being, there will be a lot of pauses and silence. Now, all of us are not used to silence, when we start, we talk to somebody and then they talk back and, it goes on. But when they are going through a tough time, a lot of times, even in my personal sessions when I've been a counselor, in fact, there have been a session in my counselor where the client has just come and sat and just sat quiet, sometimes, put their head down, and I've just waited. See, they are in a lot of stress. So we need to give them the space. Maybe they don't have a place where they can show their emotions, where they are stressed out. So this may be a place where they can be silent, go through whatever they're going through. Also, many of our callers or clients may not be able to verbalize much what they are saying. So it is for us as counselors to take the cues, and they have to take the non-verbal cues. Like, we have to look at the tone, we have to look at the pitch of the client's voice. We need to understand, that how they are speaking, whether they are, agitated, whether they are angry, that we need to listen very, very carefully. My co-counselor has already talked to you about listening skills. So I'm just trying to reiterate how important it is in a telephonic counseling. And the main thing is, we need to use a voice which, like my co-counselor Stephen said, it has to be soft, and they need to feel comforted. We have to be very clear in our talking. Their voice can be muffled because they are going through stress, so it could be they don't know how to verbalize it, they are awkward, they're talking to somebody unknown. So we need to make them feel as comfortable as possible, and we need to have a very clear tone, and we need to have a soft tone. We need to be very soft in our talking so that they feel, comforted. And one of the reasons how I feel you could overcome some of the limitations are, one is because it's a telephonic call, use a good pair of headphones. The reason being, there are notes you may have to take down, because we also need to fill up sheets. We need to also understand. So it's better to take down notes, because it's helpful for the future, because the same caller calls back, we will know, we can go back. To make notes, it's better if we have headphones on so that we can sit and write. Two, we need to ensure that our Wi-Fi or our signal is good, because if they can't hear us, or if we keep asking them to repeat, then they feel they've not heard or they've not been understood. So we need to be very clear that our signal is good. So you need to be in a place where the signal is good. The other most important thing is, you need to ensure there is privacy, that you can talk freely, that because then what happens is, you are not disturbed by the external sounds and what's happening around you, and you can give your full attention to the client. So we need to ensure that. So these are the few key things we need to be very clear when we're making the call, and our frame of mind, as my co-counselors have reiterated, I'm reiterating that we need to be in a very calm, and if all of us have problems, we ourselves are going through a lot of stress. But when we talk to the client, we have to be very clear that we are for them. We don't have, our agenda doesn't come in the picture. It is them. They are most important. So we need to listen to them in a very calm manner. Otherwise, that comes across unknowing to us. That will come across to the client if we are agitated or if we have other things in mind. We need to be very calm. We need to listen to them. And as my co-counselor said, we need to listen to them with an open mind. And we need to give our best there at the session. Okay. And so, as I said, silence is very important. So these are a few things. Now, where prank calls are concerned, yes, there would be a couple of people who make prank calls. We need to be patient. We can't get angry, because at the end of the day, you will not know. It takes a while to get to know whether they are very smart. It takes a while to get to know whether they are a prank call or an actual caller. It takes some time. So we need to be very patient. And if we suspect that the person is a prank caller, we need to tell them very, very gently that this is a COVID helpline. We cannot be rude with them, but we have to be very firm. So that is most important. We have to be very firm with them, not rude, but be very patient with them also. And we can inform them that, this is a helpline. There are people waiting, and sensitize them to the fact that there are people waiting who really need to talk to us. So we need to subtly put them off. Again, in telephonic conversations, there are, like my earlier co-counselors reiterated, the fact that we have a limited time, which is 30 minutes. So we need, because many a times callers do talk a lot, do carry on, we can get carried away. We need to somewhere at the end of 25th minute come in between and subtly tell them that you have 5 minutes, because you, and without being rude, without making them feel we don't want to listen to them. We cannot afford that. We can tell them to call us. Like yesterday, there was a caller. I told him that, I'm always available. This is the number. We are always available to talk to them, and call us anytime when they are stressed out. So we need to be reassuring to them that they can call us at any time and we are there for them. That is the most important part, be giving them reassurance that we are there for them. We, of course, don't promise oxygen cylinders to get them, or we don't promise to get them hospital beds, which is what they will all call for. But we tell them subtly and slowly that we have the 3 helpline numbers, we give it to them. And my caller came back and told me that I've been trying that. And then I told them to be patient and try again and again. And, he would ultimately be able to do that. Like yesterday, my caller came, one more caller came and said that they are not able to get through to doctors. And they paid the doctor, and the doctor didn't call them back, and she was stressed out. She doesn't know. So I've been telling her to call the hospital back and, keep at it. So because even the doctors are busy, the hospitals are busy. So we need to tell them that how others are also busy, but they are very important. Every time it should go back to the fact that our clients are very important and their problems are real, and it is a real problem. So we need to make them feel comfortable. We need to make them feel understood. And we also need to tell them we are available. I want to make it very brief, but I would love to have questions from people who, if you have any on this prank calls or on the limited of this thing, if any of you have any questions or anything, I'm free to answer. I'm ready to answer them before I go to my next topic on grief counseling. So anybody, anything you'll want to talk to me about that?
Hi, this is Preeti.
Yeah, Preeti.
Hi, ma'am. I had a doubt whether we could give a personal touch for the callers, as in if my parents or any relative have undergone the same issue that they are going, and just to make them feel secured or less stressed, can we talk about how we overcame the same issue that they're going, and it's okay, and things like that?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, Preeti, I understand. But, in this, there is a small thing. When we talk of our problems, what happens is our emotions come in front, and the caller's problem gets a little this thing. I understand from where you're coming from. You want to make them feel comforted. But the lesser we talk about our issues, the better it is, so that the caller feels more understood. And then our issues don't take precedence. We can make them feel comforted without telling our problems and our issues, how we handle. And also, let us be very clear, every problem is different. If somebody else had lost a father, and I've also lost my father, it is not the same. The emotions running between two of us are completely different, and their problems are very much theirs. So we need to comfort them without giving too much information about ourselves. And that is also for your own good, for your own confidentiality and for your own well-being. We would advise not to give too much information about yourselves and everything, because your confidentiality is at stake here. So we listen to them and we comfort them in however way we can, without giving our experiences there, because it's not about us, it's about their experience and how they need to be comforted.
Hi, ma'am.
Yes.
I'm Prasanna Kumari here.
Yes,
I
Prasanna Kumari.
I have a doubt. I just want, suppose we are calling them, then they
Yes.
are going for a silence for 1 or 2 minutes. What will be our action then?
We just stay silent with them. We go with them, not 1 or 2 minutes. If in the half an hour call, you can have 20 minutes of silence, and they would be, sometimes they would be just crying and then they would be silent. We just stay with them. That is the space we give them as counselors to cry, to be themselves. Maybe they can't do it in their own houses or with people around. So they find this the space. So we just stay with them. We don't butt in, we don't do anything. We give them the space, and we give them the space. They will talk. They will talk when they want to talk. They will talk.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Geeta,
Yeah.
this is Tasneem here.
Yes, Tasneem.
I just wanted to, where you mentioned that, you can tell them about helplines or something that we can, they can reach out to for, say, cylinders, or oxygen, or beds and all that.
Yes.
But, how they may insist on us providing, some help in that. How do we handle that kind of situation?
So that, yes, Tasneem, this is a very valid question. But we cannot give them that. So we subtly, like yesterday, that lady, I'm telling you, my client came and I said, this is the number. Please try this number and keep trying at it. And, it will get through. We have to subtly tell them that, we are here to provide a counseling service, to listen to them, but we cannot promise them hospital beds or anything like that. They will come back to you with that question, but you have to be very subtle and very subtly tell them that these are the helpline numbers. They are there for you. I understand that it is very tough, but you need to keep trying. This is what I told that person there, that you keep trying this number. It takes a lot of tries, but you will get through.
So, because we cannot help them physically with procuring or getting them beds or cylinders, how emotionally in that space, when they are in that helpless or agitated state, what do we say to them exactly? What will help?
See, you have to, first is you have to empathize that. So when the person is agitated, we say, yes, we understand your stress. You are going through a lot of stress. You are a person who's taking care of your parents or your grandfather, whoever it is. You need to be, and I understand, but are you taking care of yourself? You need to be emotionally very strong, because when you are not strong, your immunity will be low and you could also be hit. So you need to be very strong for your care. You're a caregiver and you need to be strong for your people there. And how you need, and also check with them how they are feeling and whether they're eating, whether, they've got, they got friends, do this thing, kind of, keep asking them those questions so that they feel that somebody is listening to me, and, and keep how important they are, that they are the caregivers and they have to be very, stay mentally very strong, and all those things. And then we are also going to bring in some breathing exercises, and also you can even, in case they are up to listening, then you can even tell them 1 or 2 breathing exercises.
Okay, that's exactly what I wanted to know. Is that something that we can help them with?
Yes, you can tell them the breathing.
Just help them calm themselves and look after themselves.
Yes, that's exactly that.
Thank you so much, Geeta.
Yeah, welcome.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes.
This is Prabha from Shumoga.
Prabha, tell me, Prabha.
Ma'am, if the person is an introvert and is not willing to open up much, then how to counsel in such situations, ma'am?
So if he's when you say introvert, what exactly are you trying to tell me, Prabha?
Like he is not trying to open up much with me. He has undergone through some depressions, or he has seen deaths of his family members, in such cases, a person don't open up much. Then how to counsel in such situation, ma'am?
So one is you can introduce yourself that you're from this helpline, from the Rotary District helpline. You can even say that this is a confidential, this is very, whatever you say, tell me will be in utter confidentiality. So you can first and foremost tell them that this is whatever you tell me would be completely confidential and we will not tell anybody else about it. And, this is a space for you. Make them feel that this is the space where they can talk to you openly and freely. And, and you will have some history about the problems. So you can, say that, I heard that your father or your uncle or whoever is unwell or somebody you've lost a person. It must be very tough on you. And, so start using all those things. It must be very tough on you. And it is a very tough period for you. But, how are you coping? So you push them to ask them, how are you coping? What do you do? So subtly and slowly. And your time is only half an hour. So if they want to tell you by then, they will tell you. But some people just want to listen to something. They can listen to it. So you cannot go with the feeling that, okay, I'm going to get answers. They're going to talk to me. No. The callers may not talk to you, may just pick up the phone and cry, may just pick up the phone and say hello and not talk much. But we need to give them that space. We are there for them, just to let them know that we are there for them. So with our empathy, just show them empathy. That's good enough.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. So can we go to the next one, the grief counseling? Yeah. So now this is grief counseling. There are 4 stages. I'll just take you through briefly about what is grief. There are 4 stages of grief. One is denial. First is the person is in shock. So he's in complete denial that this has happened to that person. They can't accept that this has happened to them. So they say, no, this has not happened. And that is the first stage of grief, shock, and then in complete denial. After that, they get into anger. They blame God, they blame the hospital, they blame the doctor, they blame the nurse, they blame the family, they blame anybody and everybody for this thing that has happened to them, for the loss. They are ready to blame everybody. Sometimes happens is people are at that stage and do, come back, accept. So they can go from denial to acceptance. The third stage is depression. They feel so down, they don't want to talk to anybody. They want in their grief, they are inside, internalize it. And they even also, a guilt factor. Oh, I wish I could have done more. All this, that guilt factor, that COVID patient, especially many a times, they cannot see the kith and kin. When the kith and kin passes away, they are not allowed there. And they are angry, they feel guilty that they were not there for the person whom they've lost. And the last, when they finished all this, then they come to the acceptance, okay, I have lost it, but still I am in grief. So these are the stages of grief, which we have seen. And people can be in denial and then go from depression, not necessary that it's in the same order. It can go in any order. They can straight go from depression to acceptance, but acceptance takes a while. And this is a COVID period. We don't have, in it, you'll meet people who are probably in the first 2 stages or 3 stages of grief. So this is the grief. Now, what is the bereavement process? What is called the bereavement process is the acceptance of the reality of the loss. They have to accept that, okay, this has happened. That is the process, They have to accept that this has really happened. They have to work through this pain or the loss and adjust to life without the disease. But that is a very tough piece. I'm just telling you what are the stages of grief. Now, when we talk to our clients, what happens is the clients basically experience a lot of anxiety, they have fear, they have mood swings, and so we need to be very, very clear. We have to listen to them very well and understand, if their anxiety, sometimes they can get very anxious. Okay, somebody has died, so they may also die, or some sibling will die. So this is a very normal, this is how they will be. And we need to, calm them down. They may cry, so we need to let them cry. See, unless you are comfortable, for the main thing is what happens a lot of times, there's a very simple way. When we see somebody crying, the first thing we do is give them a tissue or a thing or water to drink. We do that. One of the things I was taught in my counseling, and one of my clients told me, is that because we are not comfortable seeing them cry, we can keep a tissue there. And in face-to-face counseling, we do keep a tissue packet. If they want, they will take it. But if we offer it to them, it means so it's very important to understand that we need to be comfortable when somebody cries on the phone. We need to be very comfortable with that. We need to accept that this is going to happen. That is a very, very important for a counselor. We need to empathize with them, and through this process, calm them down, comfort them. So with these things, and when they are crying, howling, if you interrupt and say, no, don't cry, that's what we do to friends. Don't cry, everything, things will become all right. That's the completely wrong message you're giving them. That we are not comfortable with their crying. No, we cannot do that. We need to let them cry. We cannot tell them don't cry. They are crying because they are in grief. They are in that stage. They are very, 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 this thing. It's a very funny thing, because once a client came to me saying that they had, the loss was a loss of a key. Now to me, that loss was, end of the day, it was a key. What's a big deal? But to him, that was a very big thing, because that was a key to some important thing, and he felt guilty that he had lost it, and he felt he was useless and he was not himself. So it was a full session on calming him down and making him understand that it's a key, and but I could not tell him that it's only a key, you can always make one. Maybe he couldn't make another one. We don't know. We actually don't know. We know that they are in grief. We don't know their exact mental state. So normalizing it is the worst thing we can do for a person who has lost somebody. We need to help them with this trauma of their loss, and we need to be calm, but we need to have a lot of compassion. We need to show them a lot of empathy, and we need to listen to them. Most important, we need to be comfortable when they are crying or in their grief. I'm making mine very simple, very short. So this is very important in grief counseling. We need to be very well aware that this is what will happen in a grief counseling. You need to be mentally prepare yourself. And I will tell you my experience. I had lost my father. And at the same time, I was counseling a person who had lost the father. So in that stage, if you people are not comfortable and you feel a kind of stress, you can always reach us back to our master, the trained counselors. We have 3, 4, 5, 6 of us. You can always come back to us, because I know this whole session, this whole process of counseling is very overwhelming. And you listen to somebody who's going through all that, there's a lot of fear inside you. You could get into anxiety. You could get into, it could be overwhelming. But the best way for you is to talk to your person who's a trained counselor, the one of us. We are always available to you all. You can talk to us and we can help you through this, because you need to be prepared to go through the next caller. Unless you have processed this, it's very difficult for you. It will be very overwhelming. This whole process is very overwhelming, let me tell you. But it's not impossible. But we are all there to help you. We senior counselors are all there to help you. We will hold your hand. We will guide you through this, and we will help you. So please understand this. This is very important for any type of counseling that you need. We also, even today, when I'm a counselor, I go back to my counselor because there is a lot of things I take in, and that I need to get it out of my system. And the only way, and when you are, see, the thing is, if a client tells you, you can definitely not talk about that to your family because that is confidentiality. We don't break confidentiality by talking to our friends and family about the client. You can talk to us, the senior counselors, and we can help you through this. That's how we do. We talk to our counselors, senior counselors, and we take them through. Also, if you are stuck and you don't know how to go about, you finished a session, but you felt you didn't do well enough or you were stuck, you can always come back to us. We will help you through this. That's how we do it. Even today, there are times when I get stuck, but I go back to my senior counselor. I take her, I just say, I'm stuck, so the person coming next time, how do I deal with this? I still do that. So you are all welcome to come to us. We are there for you. You can call us and we will help you through this. Any questions?
Geeta?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? And Virina here.
Yes, Virina, you can ask me.
I was thinking when somebody is very desperate and really flustered with the situation and they get to our number and we are trying to calm them down and they might react saying, I don't want to hear your sermons and lectures. I just want an oxygen cylinder. What do you say for that?
Yes. So you see, you're not giving them a sermon. Obviously, you're not going to talk to them on and on. That is the main thing on this. You have to listen to them. They do the talking. You do very minimal talking. In counseling, we do very minimal talking. We, tell the client, okay, your need is, I understand the need of yours is a cylinder. This is the number. You can dial it, but you need to take care of yourself. And if you feel that they are not visible to it, then they are not okay to it. But if they are needy, sometimes they may call you just because they think you can help them with the cylinder, not to talk to you about their problems.
Correct.
If that is a stage, then that is what we are. That's what they want. It is what they want, not what we want to give them. That is the most important thing. So there is no sermon we are giving. We just talking one line.
Just listening to them.
Yes, just one line, just comforting them, but not stories with comforting. Oh, you're okay, but then, this will happen. No, we talk less, we listen. That is the whole thing about counseling. We listen to them. We just give them, whatever is their need, whatever they tell us, like my co-counselor said, paraphrase it, but in justice, because this is a very short time and you know that they want this thing, so you keep telling. But if they say, no, I thought this is the thing, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are cases when they say, I don't
they
want
say sorry and they
don't
just
ask me to be calm. I want my cylinder. Don't ask me to be calm. They
no, you don't say, tell them to be calm. You tell them that, you don't tell them be calm because that is not what they want to hear. Yeah. You tell them you are calm. You just tell them that I understand your situation is like this. I understand that you are stressed out because you didn't get a cylinder. You try this number. You will try. I know that there are people who've been trying this number. Keep trying it again and again. You will get it. Because of this pandemic situation, there are a lot of people trying this number. So please try this. That's all you say. Don't say that, be calm. Oh, no. If you tell them stories, they are not going to listen to you. And if the client feels, no, sorry, I didn't come to listen to this. I don't want all this. I thought you'll help me with cylinder. Say, sorry, our scope is to let you know this is the number. Please tell me if you anything else, please. I'm here to listen to you. I am there to listen to you. I am there to listen to you. That's all you keep saying, nothing else. So if they don't want that, they will disconnect. Okay, they can disconnect, but that's nothing to do. And one thing, if they disconnect it, it's nothing that you have said something wrong or you have done something wrong. No, It is their need. They can disconnect, they can talk. It's maybe they have only 10 minutes. Maybe there's an urgent thing that has come up and they have to go. So we need to see how they are. We cannot put our needs there. We need to put the needs of the client, which is very important.
And neither can we say, I will try for an oxygen cylinder.
No, we never do that. We don't offer any of those services.
Yes.
No, we cannot.
Yes.
We don't give them doctors' numbers. We give them the helpline numbers, 2, 3 of that. Yesterday, a client came and said, I tried this hospital, Sparsha Hospital. Yeah. And the hospital, I paid the money, 500 rupees on phone pay, but the doctor never called back. The hospital said they would call back. I said, oh, that is very unfortunate. I understand. But maybe, it's our need. So maybe you could try calling the hospital a couple of times. And they are also very busy. You try calling them a couple of times and see what is to be done. Do you have any other, doctors or any friends who are nurses? Like this, I took the conversation there and she said she has, because she's got a grandfather who's very critical, but she doesn't believe the hospitals. So I can't tell her, then you take him to the hospital. I cannot tell her that. So I told her, okay, that's your comfort. Then do you have anybody else other than, somebody? Then she said she has been in touch with nurses. I said, okay, then those nurses, talk to them. And, you are handling this. It's very brave of you. You are handling this all by yourself. But you also remember that keep in touch with the nurses. And, they are doctors end of the day. And they, and ask them to help you. That's how I took it through. And she was very happy. Okay. I could only tell her that call back. I couldn't tell her that, oh, I will report it. Why they haven't called? No, I couldn't do anything of that. I could only tell her that they are nurses and they are doctors. Keep trying again. Maybe the busy, how hospitals are, how these things are. That's all I could tell her. I couldn't tell her I'll get your money back. Nothing of that sort.
Yeah. Thank you, Geeta. Thank you.
Welcome. I think you can take the slide off, Krishna.
Thank you, Geeta. That was crisp, wonderful, and you have very well driven home the point and made a very powerful presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The questions so well answered too.
Thank you.
Krishna, will the tech team take over?
Yes, ma'am. Abhi, can you start sharing the screen?
Just give me a second.
So to understand the call protocols, documentation process, data management, we have the tech team coming before you.
All right. Hi, everyone. This is Rotractor Krishna Arjun again. Along with me, I have Rotractor Abhinav. So we've been trying to streamline the entire process with respect to the war room. And we've been receiving a lot of different requests for getting help with respect to the oxygen cylinders or any other vendors that we have to get in touch with. We have a validated resource that has been set up on the website along with a validated database. So that is the first primary source that you also need to refer to in case someone requires something else apart from what you're trying to offer. So that might be a small help. It can be a small part of the session, but that's not the main intention of you counseling. So if they need that help, you can either tell them you can refer to that website, or you can look at the website and give them a number. So that is one thing. So it has, as I said, database as well as a validated vendor list, which will be continuously updated based on the usage. And there is an algorithm which keeps the most trusted vendors who are currently supplying at the top. So that is about it. And also some videos on proning and any other details on what's currently happening can be found on the website. Now, with respect to the cases, once the case is assigned, there are two ways as of now that the cases are being assigned. Either it comes to you on WhatsApp. How we're going to structure it is once we complete this session today, we'll again take a final feedback from each of you on your commitment and you have expressed your interest saying whether you'll be available in the morning, afternoon, evening. So we'll try to understand what is that hourly slot that you're going to give us on a daily basis or once in 2 days, so that we can place you accordingly based on your availability.
So once we are aware about that, we will try to put you under a master trainer, or you'll be working with a master trainer. So probably 3 or 5 people working or reporting to one master trainer. So in case you need help, you are doing well, you can continuously keep them posted so that they will mentor you and help you with the entire process. So they will be reporting to us and giving us the complete picture, and we'll be reporting the same to the leadership. So coming to the first Excel sheet, this is the client ID from the counseling team. Each and every case that is handled will be assigned a unique ID. That will be the patient ID. RL2U stands for Rotary Listens to You. After that, 0001 would be the first case. So as of now, we have completed 5 to 6 cases, and we'll be starting off with the 7th case. This sheet will be updated, and this is also the main thing that you need to keep in mind. The patient ID will need to be uniform across this document as well as the next document that we'll be using. So this is basically the summary that we'll be entering. Can you get inside the Excel once more, Abhi? Yes. So here you'll have to fill in the client name. And as you already know, we are not going to refer to them as patients. We'll be referring to them as clients. So client name, the patient ID is auto-generated. You don't have to touch that field. Then come to the client contact, the phone number, then the date and the time of counseling, who counseled it, who counseled this particular session. And so imagine we have Virina ma'am reporting to Geeta ma'am. We can have team names of the master counselors. So Geeta ma'am's team. So that can also be mentioned so that we have a understanding on how many cases so far we have done and how many each of them have managed to do, and overall the team, how it's doing, and if they need any help, we can get them that help. So this is the summary sheet. The next sheet is for the counselors. So here we'll be tracking the counselor's name, the contact number, the email ID, languages that you prefer. So this is one very important thing. Imagine you are very proficient in English and Hindi, but we assign you a Kannada client, then it might not be as effective as the session could have been. So we'll try to assign the case based on your preferences with respect to language as well as time. Okay, so the time preferred is the next field, and the next field after that is whether you're a professional counselor or an amateur. Okay, so that's about this sheet. This gives us a summary at a single shot. Now let's move to the document. So here we have a format that this drive you will be getting the access. So after you fill that Excel sheet, the next thing you have to do while starting conversation would be to document it. Just click on that format for introduction of counselor. Let's understand this format. Then we'll tell you how you duplicate that file and then rename it with the patient ID or the client ID, and then you save it. Okay, so for documentation. Now, format for introduction, we have the name of the client that you need to track, telephone number, age, address, gender or sex, marital status, education, employment, most comfortable language, and problems to be dealt with. So if you're able to track this, that gives you a very good understanding of the client. So this is the process that you will follow. So by the time you collect this data, you have an understanding of who you're dealing with and what you're exactly dealing with. Then you'll have the synopsis, and after that you'll have the prognosis. So Shobha ma'am or Stephen sir can step in and explain about this bit.
Krishna, one small question I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
This all these details about age, address, sex would be already be given to them, no? By us, by you rather.
Yeah, so it can either be if we have the data beforehand, we'll
because
also. Yeah, we'll also populate a Google form with the basic details that can be collected. So we just want to put everything together on the document. So we'll
no.
share
So
the
they
data.
don't have to ask the client what is the problem and all that. No, they don't have to ask them. They don't have to ask them these details. No,
not necessary, ma'am. Just in case we have a urgent request, in case we don't have the format, that's when they might have to step in. Otherwise, we'll try to get you all this information in the Google form that you try to circulate to the client, or we'll ask one of our volunteers to make that call and collect all this data and then hand it over to you. So the two ways of getting the case, you either get it through the WhatsApp, or once the helpline is directed for this purpose, it will be directed to you based on your preferences and your with respect to language and time. So if it's a phone call, then taking all that information might take a lot of time. So in that case, we'll have very minimal data that will be shared with you, and the phone will be transferred. So at that time, you'll still need to track all these details. So we'll have to see how the phone will finally arrive to us. So in case we are making the call, that's when we would have the data already, and we would have scheduled the call. In case we have the call coming in directly, we'll have to take in that additional effort to document this as well. So, Geeta ma'am, would you want to talk about synopsis and prognosis?
So see, the synopsis is so that's the main reason why we say you make notes when the session is like I too today, like I made notes. When the client is talking, you make notes that, okay, father's unwell, father's been a cardiac patient. Whatever he tells you, you keep quietly make. That's why the headphones and is very important. You make all the notes, and then as soon as the session is over, you sit and write, because what happens is that is fresh in your mind, and that's how we as counselors do. When the session is over, we immediately make notes as to what happened in the session, what was this thing, and what you did best. How you felt you helped them. That is the very important part. So synopsis would be what you heard from them and what was their state of mind and all. And prognosis, as I understand, would be how you dealt with it and what you did best.
If I could,
and it is best to be done.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Paul, sir, I'll take it after Paul. Go ahead, sir.
Sure.
So it is best to be done immediately when the session is over, because then that's fresh in the mind and you can immediately put it in.
Perfect. Thank you, ma'am. Paul, sir, you can jump in.
Yeah. Synopsis is what you have dealt with the client and what is your observation of the client's problem. Because this can go on and on. It might not be a one-time call. It might be repeated. So unless you make a note of the synopsis of the problem, what happens is next time you might not be assigned the same person. There might be somebody else who's taking the call. So he or she should know how you dealt with and what was your assessment of the problem faced by the client. So this is very, very important, because in most cases, it is not going to be a one-time affair. It's going to be on and on, where it's very important that when somebody has dealt with one particular client, he or she makes notes and passes it on, so that the other person might know what to deal with, how to deal with, where to deal with. Now, prognosis is something which will be mostly filled in by the master counselor, because once you have filled up the synopsis, we have to go through that to know whether this is an ongoing process and how it is progressing, whether the client is coming out of the problem or going deeper into the problem. Because prognosis is very important to track the problem and the client, because sometimes the client can go into severe depression, wherein the master counselor has to hand it over to a very renowned institute, a psychiatric institute, which has to take up this problem. So the prognosis of the problem of the prognosis of the synopsis is very important. But usually the prognosis would be filled up by the master counselor, because seeing the various synopses handled by the various counselors, then we come to a prognosis and we state that this person is coming out of the problem or going more deeper into the problem. So that is the reason why we have the synopsis and the prognosis. Yeah, Shobal.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Paul and Geeta. I just want to say, Krishna, I'll be taking the participants through a couple of case studies, and I would give them that exercise to fill up the synopsis part. So they'll be doing it practically now.
Wonderful, ma'am. Thank you so much. So yeah, this is going to be the process. You will need to document each and every one of this. Since Paul sir was saying there'll be repetitive address to the query, you can continue to enter. In case you come back to this case again, we can have the date mentioned and then enter the synopsis and prognosis again. If someone else is handling the same case, they can also do that. Just enter the date and probably their name, and then enter the synopsis as well as the prognosis. So that's with respect to the format that we'll be using to document the conversation with our clients. Okay, so yes, Abhi, did you want to add anything else?
Nothing, Krishnajan. I mean,
okay, perfect. So this is going
Krishna,
to be the.
I have a question. May I just ask one question?
Sure, ma'am. Please go ahead.
This format will be on Google Sheets, or does it have to be on your system?
This will be on Google Documents.
Okay.
Drive, so that link access will be given to all the registered email IDs, the final set of counselors who will be reaching out to the clients.
Okay, thank you.
So you'll have to just right click on this. Abhi, can you just do that? Just create a copy. Just right click on this, say make a copy, and you already know what would be the case ID or the patient client ID, right? So you just have to copy that ID and you can rename the format with the client ID. So this way you'll have uniformity.
So it'll be done on the Drive document itself, on the Drive itself.
Correct. Everything will be done on the Drive. Yes.
Okay.
So if you want, along with this, you can also add the name of the client. So that is one thing that you can do. It'll be quickly you'll be able to access. Yeah. Okay. So just have the client ID and the name, so that quickly you can access these documents in case you're getting a call again from there. So this is about the Google Sheet as well as the Google document, in which the documentation part of it will be happening. So that is mainly from the tech team, the update. In case you have any suggestions, you can let us know. But the way it would follow is we'll have those mini teams, sub teams or subgroups created under our master trainers, and you'll be reporting to them, and they'll be guiding you, and all the documentation will be reviewed along with the master trainers. In case some improvements can be done, that will be communicated to them and they will communicate it to you. So at the outset, I would like to also request Shobha ma'am to kindly get the final set of confirmations. Few people have attended yesterday, few people have attended today, few people have not attended on both days, but they would have watched it on YouTube. So if we can have a way of getting those final set of confirmations who are committed to help out the people during these testing times, then based on that, the teams can be divided and we can get to work. Shobha ma'am, over to you.
Yes. Thank you, Krishna. Yeah, I wish to thank the former speakers, Rotarian Stephen Paul and Geeta Wish. Wonderful it was. Let me take you through the next part of this program today. Yes, for those of you who joined in a little late, I'm Dr. Shobha. So this is a Rotary COVID War Room initiative. Rotary listens to you. The second day of the training program. I'm the current president of Rotary Club of Platinum City, an educator, counselor, and a professor in our college. So since yesterday we have been running this session and our esteemed speakers have spoken to you about listening skills today, grief counseling, handling prank. And likewise, we had empathy, we had understanding emotions yesterday. So today, I will be taking you through a couple of case studies. So let us see the 2-day training program, how much it has equipped you all and how ready you are with your running shoes on. As Geeta ma'am was telling, counseling can be quite overwhelming. It is very interesting, highly motivating, and we really want to help out people. But sitting on the chair of the counselor or receiving that phone call is not so easy. Many a times we reach that dead end. What do I say? I heard that question from Vivian. She was asking, people get overwhelmed. They are in an abusive mood or they are sobbing. How do I handle it? Many a times these questions or these feelings engulf us, overwhelm us. And we may be at loss for words. What is my response? But for all this, it's very, very important to understand the case by case, reading between the lines, feeling the emotions. So that's exactly what our esteemed speakers have been telling you all since yesterday. So let's see how much of this training program you have imbibed or taken it on your own. Sample case study, and this is just a beginning. So don't worry to try out, feel comfortable. This is a learning process and the entire journey is a course of learning. So I'm going to take you through a couple of case studies. We shall see what we understand and how do we respond. And before that, what is the context all about? What is a case all about? Okay, here we go. You will be active with me on your chat box. Okay, read through the first case.
Of
yes.
President.
A businessman aged 48 years, residing at his home residence, without any history of comorbidities, is tested positive for COVID-19. His other family members are negative. He is under home isolation for 14 days. He is fearful and worried about his health. He calls up highly disturbed and uneasy about being homebound. So this is the case study. Now XYZ, our trainees sitting here, one of you received this phone call in the Rotary COVID War Room, Rotary Listens to You initiative. You pick up the call. And then how do we go about? Before that, what is the entire scenario about? I'll give a chance. Can one of you raise your hands? A couple of you could unmute and speak. Yes, I think Prasanna Kumari has raised her hand. Was that? Do you want to, Prasanna? Was that by mistake or?
No, I didn't, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm understanding it.
Okay, yeah. Okay. All right. I shall put the case once again for you all. Please go.
I think ma'am Virina has raised her hand.
I'll discuss, yeah, Virina. So spend, say, about 5-10 seconds on this. And I'm going to take you step by step through this. Yes, 2 participants have raised their hands. Let's see what they say, and then we go back. Yes, Virina, please come.
You want me to handle this client, or what do you want me to do?
This is right before you, ma'am. How would you like to go? What have you understood? You can tell me either way. What is it that you have grasped? Or you want to give me the response? That's also fine. I'll leave that to you.
Okay, I thought you were doing a demonstration of how we will respond if a client like
ahead.
this call
Please
down.
go ahead. I will leave that to you. Yes.
So I first say hello, you got through the Rotary.
Okay.
No, I thought this was a demonstration you wanted us to do. Okay. That's why I put up my hand.
Okay. First and foremost, what is the case about? What is a context? What is it that as a counselor you have understood about the situation?
This man is 48
Okay.
He has no coma. He's in an okay condition to be home isolated,
right.
But he is obviously worried, and that's why he's calling help. So he just wants a good listening to.
So you're going to listen to him.
That is what I have gathered.
Okay.
Yes, I'm going to
listen to him. Okay. Then, what would be your immediate response? Or how would you handle this further? Don't try to, or don't hesitate to answer this. Okay, I shall come back to you. I think there was another hand.
Feeling sick. Do you have? Yeah.
Okay. Okay, one more hand. Thank you, Irina. Okay, I'm going to give a set of rules or steps. Let's see, with that, you will be able to take it a little forward. So first and foremost, you have received this phone call. So what is this, as a listener or a counselor, I should be doing? First and foremost, listening empathetically. Listening to understand the words, the feelings, the non-verbals, and all that is spoken, unspoken, that is felt. And then we need to decode it. What's happening in the mind of the person? Understand, interpret in the context, evaluate his condition, and then respond back to him. Now I'm going to go back to the slide. Keeping these processes, I presume that we have listened now with all good intention, empathetically. I have understood the problem. I have also interpreted it well. Now we are in the fourth and the fifth step. Who would like to come in, and how would you respond and evaluate it? You could put your answers in the chat box, or I think Gayatri ma'am. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come in.
I'm Gayatri. I'm already working as a counselor in Samadhana. Regarding this case, as soon as I receive the call, I'll tell my name and I'll tell him, hello, please tell your name. What are you worried about? You can talk to me freely, whatever you would like to say. Then he will...
Hold on. Just hold on for a minute, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, my dear participants, what is this step in counseling called? It was done yesterday. What is this step in counseling called? What is Madam Gayatri is trying to do?
Building a rapport, ma'am. Good rapport.
Very good. Rapport building, self-introduction, and rapport building.
Introduction.
Yes. Go ahead, Gayatri. Yes.
Yeah. Then I'll say, then he will state whatever is you have stated there. He'll say, I am so worried that I have been tested positive. I am in quarantine, but what about my, though I don't have any comorbidities, I may get into this and that. He may say all those things. I will listen to whatever he is going to tell. He may be worried about... He may be worried about his other members of the family who may contract. Then I would like to reassure to him. First, after listening to whatever he is going to tell me.
Once again, hold on, ma'am. How would you ensure that you are listening to him? How would you ensure?
I'll say, yes, go on, carry on. What's worrying you? Go ahead. You can talk to me freely, because whatever you say is going to be very confidential. Yes. And I'm not going to discuss about it with anybody.
Wonderful. I just
you can very freely tell whatever you would like to tell me and discuss with me your worries.
Okay. Hold on now. Please hold on. Yes, this is exactly what we need to be doing. The way we respond back. Please go. Yeah, I'm with you. Continue. I'm here with you. So this is exactly what we need to be doing. And what is this called? One of the speakers gave these words yesterday. Who could tell me?
Reflective listening.
Okay, reflective listening. Very good. Responding, reflective listening. And when you also give it back to him. Oh, I understand that you're distressed. Well, I understand that you've been tested positive and you're under home quarantine. What is this particular process called?
Showing empathy. Empathy.
Empathy, I take that. Further, please.
Validating, ma'am.
Pardon, I didn't hear you.
Validating.
Validating the response. Very good.
Showing empathy.
Paraphrasing.
Building trust.
Paraphrasing. That's also very important. And coming back to Virina ma'am's question initially, when you said when a person is overwhelmed, is frowning, is very irritated, and I just want to add here, very importantly, the validation of emotions is very important. What do you mean by validating? We don't get annoyed, but because he is annoyed. It looks like you are really under distress, sir. It looks like this has really angered you. If you feel anger in his voice, you validate to him and reflect back to him. We don't have to get those emotions onto ourselves. We need to show a mirror. Counseling is more like it's more like mirroring. You're more a mirror to the person. We are not here to solve the problems, as Stephen was saying. We are not here with a magic wand to solve the problems, to wish away the problems. We are here to mirror his emotions. So we don't have to get overwhelmed when the other person is angry. But instead, sir, it looks like you are very much angry about the whole thing. May I know what I can do for you? Excuse me, sir, this is beyond our scope, but I could really listen to you. So by doing this, we are validating the emotions, meaning we are saying that you're worth that emotions, that very situation that not getting an oxygen cylinder is really worrying you because your mom is critical. You have all the entitlement to be angry at that position. But how do we deal that anger is very important. We can't be thrashing somebody with that anger. We need to redirect that emotion into the right way. And here is a person who is distressed. What do? Mirror his emotions, help him to think through that emotions, and then let him or lead him to the right action. Again, I question back to you, what is this called? Yesterday's session had this component. If you can identify and relate it. One of our speakers spoke about it yesterday.
Labeling the emotion?
Pardon me?
Is it labeling the emotion?
Okay, labeling emotions. Yeah, right. Apart from that. When Dr. Madhurani was talking about emotional intelligence, the components of emotional intelligence, self-awareness, empathy, self-regulation, motivation, that's exactly. Initially, we are helping the person identify the emotions, think through the emotions, motivating him to still take right directions in spite of the overwhelming negative emotions. Those are the concepts that were dealt yesterday. Okay, I'm just interrupting so that we make an understanding, we connect the topics done yesterday with the cases. That's exactly why I'm coming. Please continue, guys.
And then,
ma'am. Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, sorry. Yes, Prasanna ma'am, was that? We'll come back. Please go ahead, ma'am. Gayatri, ma'am.
Yeah. After listening to him, to give him reassurance that he needn't have to worry so much about getting this COVID, because most of the cases they become all right without too much of hospitalization and all those things, and he doesn't even have any comorbidities, so he need to be in quarantine for about 6 to 7 days. He need to watch out. In case if his oxygen level is low, then he need to consult a doctor and go ahead and do the needful. If you take right action, you're going to come out all right. So reassure him that he is going to be fine. And since he is under quarantine, he need not have to worry that his other people in the house will get, they also may get. If they use masks and maintain the COVID formalities like washing the hands and all, they need not have to worry about everybody getting infected in the house. Reassurance about how he can become all right just after 14 days.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well cited. Adding a little more, what else can be done? Gayatri madam was right, very right. She gave an integrated or a holistic understanding of the case. That's very important. Very important when a caller calls, you building a rapport, using the feeling words, listening very well, feel that the pain or what the context, understand what he or she is talking about, the state of mind, and reading between the lines. In this particular case, what are those things that we could restate? Gayatri was saying that we have to reassure. What are those reassuring phrases or components that you identify in this case? Can one of you quickly come here and tell me what are the things that are working in favor of this gentleman? Because I'm giving you your tip here. We have to talk about those things that are going well with him, the plus sides of it. So sorry,
his age,
very good, wonderful. The age component. Yes.
Age and no comorbidities.
Wonderful. This is exactly what I'm saying.
And
so
he has probably had
none of his family members are positive.
Very good.
Excellent. And he's at home.
He has probably had one
home.
dose.
Yes.
Not hospitalized.
Yes.
And he's healthy otherwise, so he should just fight it with good spirit.
Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. You got it right. So the things that are going right on his side is his age. So we can focus his strength onto that. Secondly, no history of comorbidities. And there's another component here. He's staying in his, why I'm saying this to you is, as counselors, we need to be very, very vigilant, observant, good listening, and then read all these words and understand at his own residence. So this gentleman says that business pick up that point. It's really nice to know, sir, you have a fairly good running business and you also have a good or a comfortable stay at home. Okay, that's nice that you don't have to pay rent at the end of the month. So monetarily looks like you're quite comfortable. It's not weighing against you. Yes, ma'am. Thankfully, I don't have that issue here. So you have struck his focus, or you've taken his direction or mind onto something which is working in his life rather than something which is not working. And then again, being homebound. We will come back. Hold on to this. When I give you more tips, we will be able to analyze this better. Let's go on to the second case. Okay, read this, please. Done? If so, we will take it one by one. My first question to you is, what are the feelings this girl is going through?
Guilt,
okay.
Grief,
Worry,
worry, guilt. Okay.
extreme anger.
Anger.
That she managed for so long, and
anger that she managed.
Anxiety.
Sorry?
Anxiety.
Anxiety. Yes.
Helplessness.
Sleeplessness.
Helplessness.
Helplessness, right? Helplessness.
Worried about how her mother would take it.
This is where the feeling wheel comes handy. Many a times we are lost of words to express our feelings or give a right label or a name to our feelings. Because right from our younger days, as children, we've been asked not to cry, not to get angry, don't shout. So many a times it is just that when a child or any of us, when we express our emotions, the emotions which are our natural feelings, generally the culture or the child rearing practice is such that we are generally told not to behave that, not to cry. Hey, udgi tara alabeda. Hey, udugan tara kirchbeda. Kopa madkolbeda. So many a times we are really challenged or handicapped to express our feeling. We don't know the right words Am I feeling shy? Am I embarrassed? Am I angry? I really don't know. I just show it in my behavior that I lock myself up in a room, or I bang my head, or I scream, or I skip meals for a couple of days, but I don't know what's actually going on within me because nobody out there also understands. There's no word out there. So very importantly, we need to understand and label the feeling with the right word. So the feeling wheel comes in very, very handy. In the inner circle, you see the primary emotions, and the secondary circle, you see the leading secondary emotions which arise out of the main primary feeling, and then a whole lot of feelings in the outer side. How many of us are familiar with this? Many a times we make mistakes. You repeat, you say, tell the client, looks like you're very angry. And immediately the person other says, no, ma'am, I'm not angry with my husband. I only said that I'm upset. There's a little difference between being angry and upset. It's very, very important, and it's very necessary that we understand the other person's emotions and use the right label and make the person understand. So using this, now let us understand this girl's, what are the feelings? Now, can I get even better responses? Let's see. What else? If you can go a little deeper.
I think she feels a little inadequate, that she was not able to protect her family.
Yes. All right. Yes. I'm feeling worthless, madam. I did all this all these days. For one complete year, I took care of my parents as my own children. But look at this, what happened? I feel my entire life was a waste. Yes. Okay, thanks for that. Anybody else?
Emotional distress.
Sorry?
Distress, emotional distress.
Distress. I'm in total distress. I don't know what to do. Wonderful. Hope the cases and the way we are taking through these sessions are helping you. Can we quickly have one word there, how the sessions are going? Is the today session helping you? How is the entire process going? If you think it's good, put G. If you feel average, AV, excellent, EX. Quick feedback for us, please, because counseling is all about feedback also.
Yeah, I think this case study is very useful.
Very useful, Asita. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Many of you are responding.
Examples are very good, madam. Taking us
Very
through
good.
the examples are very good.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
I'm Ranjini.
Yes, Ranjini.
The session is excellent, but you know, we are at least I am very new to counseling. We've been talking, we've been monitoring some people on and offline.
Yes.
Personal issue, but the case studies are also excellent. I feel if I want to come as a counselor, I want to join the main counselor at least 3-4 sessions so that I'll be able to take it independently.
Let's facilitate that, Ranjini. We have that in our plan. We should, depending, because each of our counselors are at different entry levels. So we are going to feel the pulse of all of you and then guide you accordingly.
Right.
That will be done.
Right.
Feel free to say where you need to improve. So we are all together in this learning curve. So don't hesitate at all. Yeah. Thank you.
Dr. Shobha.
Yes, sir. Can I go for yes?
Dr. Shobha,
Yes,
before
please.
you close,
Yes.
if anybody would like to pose any questions on
So we are
listening
having,
skills.
last few minutes of question answers. We are having that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. We are coming to that. Yes. Now, let me, I bring you here. What could be the guidepost for response for both these case studies, especially for the second one? What could be the response and how do we understand as a counselor? First and foremost, when this girl is overwhelmingly or she's engulfed in guilt, we need to express. And she also said that for the last 1 year, she had completely kept her parents indoors. So what is the major fear there in this girl? Although COVID could be dangerous, she was extremely overprotected. The fear was overwhelming. She was overpowered by fear than the fact. So as a counselor, it's very important that we need to tell her explain the ambiguity here and tell her that COVID-19 is less known. And when we don't know things, it can be more fearful. So therefore, we could tell her that being careful, staying indoors is not wrong, but at the same time, the basic necessities, your day-to-day activities, taking care of all that with the proper protocol of SMS, sanitizing, mask and social distancing, and still going for your day-to-day activities and schedule is not something very dangerous. So you could try that. That is something. And many a times it is, we wish to blame others. The defense mechanism works in such a way that we blame others, we blame the situation, we blame ourselves. Either it is externalized behavior or an internalized. So in this case, this girl was taking the entire blame onto herself. I made a mistake. It was only because of my foolishness that I went out, I lost my father. So this is when we have to talk to her about hope, resilience, and tell her that many a times things go out of our control. I'm going to talk about that a little bit in detail now. So many a times things go out of our control, but at the same time, we need to understand what is it that is in our control. Both in the first and the second case, both these case studies, the individuals in these case studies were focusing more on those things that were not in their control. COVID is everywhere. Now with the second wave, every other household, we are listening to the case. So COVID or coronavirus control is not in my hands. So if I am overly concerned and fearful about those things which are not in my control, I'm only losing the opportunity where I can have a control and practice better behavior there. So what is it that I can be doing? I can reduce the responses, the negative responses to the feeling, to the information there, turning off the news, getting more information, the facts and figures, maintaining proper protocols, taking care of my diet, and then practicing other techniques, focusing on the strengths. Guidepost continues, having a good sleep, breathing probably, calming yourself down, and very importantly, having faith, because COVID is not in my control, but I can park my worries elsewhere, park my worries with the divine force, and let's pray that when I can't do anything, let's hope that Almighty has some answer for this. So that will relieve you from this particular responsibility of worrying, because you feel that I am not able to handle this situation, it's beyond me, but somebody out there, doctor, my parents, or Almighty is there to take care. Because in the present surroundings, what is it that I can do is only take care of myself. That's only in my control. So what is it that my control? My thoughts, my feelings, my schedule, my food habits, my sleep habits, my exercise, all that is in my control. So that is something we have to refocus, redirect the attention of individuals back onto that. So identify all those small little strengths. Age is in your favor. Staying in your own house is in your favor. So bring the focus back onto strength. That's very, very important. And it is never wrong to ask for help. Never. Please give that assurance, but it is never wrong to ask for help. I reiterate the fact with a simple reason. Why? Because this particular case, which I shared with you, the second case which I shared with you just now, is one of the realistic case that happened last week, unfortunately, and I have not, and deliberately have not given the end part of it there. This child, this young girl, she was so much overwhelmed with guilt. And unfortunately, she didn't reach out to a helpline like this. She didn't reach out to professional counselors or therapists or a doctor. She took the entire blame onto herself when her father passed away. And she over-medicated her. She took an overdose of sleeping tablets. She was immediately rushed to the hospital. But then it was too late. And she had to get a COVID test done, and which revealed that she was positive. That delayed the treatment a little further, unfortunately. And the The best of the treatment was given to her in spite of all these, but unfortunately, we lost this young girl. If only she could ask for help, if only she could reach out for help, if only she did not take the blame on herself, and if she could only think that these are certain things not in my control, and if she only had the facts and figures. This is where we are coming from, and we have many such cases around us. That's exactly why Rotary Listens to You is a very, very important platform here. I stop here. There's a lot to reflect, think, learn, and unlearn. Many a times, we have to be doing a lot of relearning and unlearning. And this is a process of that. I stop here. If the audience have picked up a few important skills from these case studies and the guideposts, my effort is fulfilled. Thank you so much. The panel is now open for question and answers about this or the other two cases we have had and the speakers we have had. The entire panel will be with you. The speakers and the tech team will be with you now for the next few minutes. Any questions? Stephen sir, Kavita ma'am, Krishna Arjun and Abhinav, let's be ready to take the questions. Thank you all once again.
So if you have any questions, you can take it. You can either put it up on the chat or you can unmute and speak.
Yeah, good evening, Sandeep here. I have a question. Is it possible to do some role plays? I mean, especially, if I take my case, I'm not a professional counselor, new to this, but having worked with coaching and other behavioral aspects earlier. Can we do some role plays with our team up counselors?
Yes,
is it possible?
Good evening, Sandeep sir. Definitely. These are our plans. And as you know, everybody is tied up with the time. So that's exactly why we had to plan a very, very compact 2-day training program. There are many things in the annual. We really want to have mock sessions, role plays, one-on-one sessions, etc. So probably if you all could give your feedback as to what exactly you want, and then if we all could collate that together and come back with a mutually convenient time, all that could be done. Apart from that, we will also be having self-help sessions in the form of yoga, meditation, breathing technique, positive affirmations in the coming days. So this is just the beginning, Sandeep sir. We will be doing it.
Yeah. Thank you very much for all the efforts. Thank you, Dr. Shobha, and the whole team. Hats off to all of you for taking this initiative.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Good evening, Shobha ma'am. This is Hema. So from RBL. Only one today's session, first of all, want to say that it was really, especially the case studies and the way you took it, I think it was very good, really helpful. I just missed yesterday's session, office work, whatever happened, so couldn't really make it. So how do I kind of go over that? If I've really missed something, I definitely want to pick that up.
Okay.
So just add that.
The link is shared, the YouTube link is shared in the group. You could able to go back and add.
Okay, in WhatsApp group, is it?
Yes.
Okay,
Are you part of the counselors WhatsApp group yet, ma'am?
The one that COVID counseling, yeah, whatever. That yes, that I am. I don't know if there was any other group.
I'll share the other link for the official counselors group, and there you will be able to see go through the video from yesterday.
Okay, yeah, I think I'll do that. Yeah. Otherwise, today's session, yeah, was good. And
thank you. Stephen sir, would you like to add anything?
Shobha ma'am?
Yes, Prasanna.
Can we have one or two, case study so that we can do an exercise?
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah.
Let's say
that that.
We should post it.
Yeah.
Okay, in the group so that you all could take it up, and just the way you answered here, you could give that. Yeah. Definitely.
Thank you. And we will have technical help if we need. Suppose the form and all, when we fill up, somewhere if we are stuck, there will be somebody to help us in the technical side?
Yes. If you have missed out that point, yes, I would like to go back on that. We will be having, say, half a dozen of volunteers, amateurs, who will be tagged on to a senior counselor. So we will be having a mentor-mentee concept. So you will have a team, a guiding senior counselor with whom you could closely work. So you could go back and clarify your doubts. So that kind of brainstorming will be happening. We should also put it in the group that when sub-teams will be meeting or when we all could get together as a group. Because it's very, very important that on a day-to-day basis, if not, at least at the end of 2 or 3 days, we go back and check it out if what we are doing, the process is right or wrong. So very soon, your small groups, the teams and the mentors will be known to you. You could directly get in touch with them. And then we again come back, the whole group like this, probably weekends, or we will be notifying that to you.
Okay. And the technical side, the Google form and all, will be some support. Suppose we are stuck somewhere to filling up.
Yeah, you're a part of the group, ma'am. The counselors group. Yes, any queries, you could raise it there. Our counselors and the tech team members are there. So that will be duly answered.
Okay.
Am I right, Krishna?
Thank you.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Geeta ma'am and Stephen sir, wish to add anything, please come.
I have a question. May I ask, Shobha ma'am?
Yes, please.
So this is regarding kind of me being not a professional counselor. I've done some sort of facilitation course and all that, but therapy is something that is, affects a person. Like the case that you mentioned, the person took her own life. So when you are talking to somebody, trying to counsel them, how do you know the intensity of, I mean, I may not be able to support them in a matter, in their, in their dire state that time. Is there something that there can be checks for us to know that this is a severe case or a serious case, and which we can escalate to the senior counselors?
Definitely, ma'am. As we said, in a real counseling session, there are kind of standardized tools to measure, to quantify the challenge or the problem the person is going through. But as we told in the beginning, telephonic conversation or counseling has its own limitations. Number one, you're not able to understand the body language of the person. You're not there in the physical setup. That's exactly why you need to have the other skills very, very strongly. So we need to be responding. And if you feel that the person is in real distress and he or she needs help, you should be asking those kind of open-ended questions which will elicit the responses like, you think you've been missing sleep? How is your sleep pattern? Are there any times where you have tried to self-harm yourself? Is there anything where you're, no? Is there anything that is really causing you physically distress? Or get into those questions which will give you those. Yes, ma'am, I think I haven't even spoken, slept for days. Last time, the same thing happened, and then I really had to take it out on me. So please listen to these things, probe a bit in a very, very gentle way. But at the same time, don't be giving leads to the person. Ask the right kind of questions and see if you can get the kind of help. And whenever you feel that this person is in need of help with those kind of responses, he or she has been missing her or his daily routine, or not keeping good mental health, or his previous history, mental history, if he or she has been on some kind of a medication. This is another time where the problems can become double fold during these times. So try and get this information. Have you taken the help of a counselor or a doctor for these issues priorly? Has this condition been there? Since how long you're going through this? So through such questions, you need to get extra additional responses. And if you feel that there is a danger lurking, immediately note that number and then report it to the counselor. And you can also tell him, it looks like you need some help and we are here to help you. Can I refer you to my senior? Or that way, take them to confidence and then help them. That's very important. So it's our responding, listening style and your awareness of the subject matter which will really help you.
Okay. Thank you.
3 things we have to remember, participants: the intensity of the problem, the duration of the problem, and the frequency of the problem. since how long a particular issue has been there, for how long, the duration, frequency, how many times, back and forth in a week, how many times you have felt this hopelessness, weakness, or tendency to take your life, the frequency of that, the duration of that, and the intensity, how strong it is. What do you do when you get angry? I just break things. I don't know, I lose control, I hit my children. So the intensity, frequency, and the duration is very, very important. So based on this tripod, you make a judgment, you make your, like Stephenson was telling you, the synopsis is very, very important. These are your notes. That's very important.
Yes. Hello, I would also like to pitch in here. This is Varsha.
Yes.
First of all, I would like to congratulate on an excellent session that you people have been conducting. I'm also a trained counselor. So just a few thoughts that crossed my mind at this time. Firstly, somebody had asked, how do you know the intensity? So perhaps if we could have some sessions on perception, which is very important, and especially because this is all telephonic conversations going on. So we can give them a little more practice on how to perceive the intensity or the urgency behind the tone and the voice, and then how we derive at a synopsis and maybe a prognosis later. And especially past few weeks, I have been bombarded with panic calls and have not slept peacefully. So it is very important on how we perceive whether it is how to take a call at that moment. Also, the second thing is probably it would be helpful if we could have a bank of psychologists or psychiatrists, because some of the professional counselors here are in a position to take a call whether this is within the ambit of a general counselor or not, and whether we should forward it to a psychologist or psychiatrist, perhaps maybe because some kind of medication might be involved. And we are not the right people for this. So it is very important to tell the fellow counselors here that we are not here in a position to take important decisions like these. So it would help immensely if we could have a bank to lean on. And sometimes it is very urgent and we cannot reach out instantly, and it will help if we go to our bank and see the information and maybe take a call, discuss, or do something which is required.
Absolutely, ma'am. This point was in the introductory session yesterday. In the scope of our counseling, the limitations of counseling, it was very clearly told the audience that yes, there is a certain point beyond which we will not be able to help. That's exactly where the specialists come in. So in our limitations, we have made this very clear. At the same time, you also will be having a pooled data of senior psychiatrists, doctors. As you rightly said, medication is the answer in many of the cases. So we will be having a tie-up with our senior psychiatrists and doctors, and we have a pooled data for that. If you have any contacts, you could enrich our source. You could kindly pass on the information to our data pool. That will be really welcome.
Definitely. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Varsha. A very good point that you brought in. So as Shobha ma'am said, we'll try to enrich the data, and you can also flag the cases that you're handling in case you come across this where either it has to be recommended to a senior psychiatrist or counselor, or it has to be routed through a paramedic or doctor. So we can, once you flag, we will be able to route it and get the necessary help for them. That can be done.
Yes, that's an excellent way to go about it, I would say. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So do we close the session? Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I think we are at the end.
Yeah. So,
Right.
Probably Krishna, you
yes,
could conclude it on behalf of the team.
Yes. Right. So when we started the war room, we didn't realize that we'll be able to help people in so many different ways. And since we had done something similar earlier last year when lockdown actually happened, we realized the importance of mental health, and we did a few things last year itself. So this time the situation is extremely critical, and having group sessions might not be the way to go. We need to give personal attention. Each and every person has a different problem, and there can't be a common solution that can be rendered out to everyone. So now, when we with the leadership team, when we were discussing, I just proposed this idea of getting some counseling done. And first choice we had to lead this team was our president, Dr. Shobha, who's an excellent counselor, orator, nutritionist, and educationalist. So we shared this idea, and she immediately coined this name, Rotary Listens to You, which is so thoughtful. And we were within a very short time, we were able to assemble our Avengers, our teams, to sort of come together and design this program. We had the module ready, we had our faculty ready, and when we reached out to people, you all agreed to come and be part of this course, which will help people come out of their distress and support them when they're in need emotionally. So I thank each and every one of you to have made this decision to support people during these testing times. And I thank each and every faculty members, our master counselors, for taking their time out. Already they have started handling many cases. You can learn from those cases. And they also gave us a lot of knowledge by taking us through these wonderful presentations. And we've managed to ignite the other side of you, where you're now exploring something that would be helpful for you at your houses itself, because everyone is deeply distressed. So we don't have any distractions as of now. So we have to figure out a way to help each other. So thank you, each and every one of you, for being a part of this. And thank you, Shobha ma'am, for leading it from the front. And also Rashmi Tangsali ma'am for getting all our resources together. And our district governor, Nagendra Prasad sir, for being there, saying yes to all the initiatives that we come up with. And Karthik Kittu, as well as Abhinav, for being constantly supportive of all the creative initiatives that we are trying to take to help people in this dire need. So thank you, everyone. And as I said earlier, if you are able to give us that final confirmation saying this is my availability and I'm ready to do this for, it might be a month, it might be a couple of months. We don't know when the situation is going to get better. So if you're able to commit to it and help us out in this in these testing times, I think we'll make a difference in many lives. So thank you everyone for being part of it.
If time permits, a couple of them can give their feedback, Krishna.
Definitely, ma'am. That would be a very good idea.
A couple of them can unmute and quickly share your thoughts.
If anyone wants to give a feedback, please go ahead.
Yeah, Sandeep here. Sorry. Yeah, ma'am, please go ahead.
It's okay. You can.
Chat box is also open for your comments. Yes. Sandeep sir, Asita, I think I heard one of you speaking.
Yes, whoever is ready to start the video and share the feedback, we'll give you the opportunity.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, good evening all. Dr. Shobha and your team is, I would like to say, it's an excellent initiative. I think it is the need of the hour. And moreover, it's very well curated, with especially the last session, which is the case study. I think it gives a practical approach to it. And yeah, we have learned, okay, these are the points that we need to keep in mind, things like that. But how do we put into practice? And also, as President Ranjini said, a couple of us would like to be with you seniors for a couple of sessions so that we know how do you address. See, I mean, theoretically we know, I mean, whatever, but the tone, everything, it's actually, it would help if we can sit through those practical sessions, quietly, silently observing. So it may be, that could be helpful is what I would like to say. Otherwise, it's a very well curated program, need of the hour, and very good initiative. Hats off to you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Asita.
Hello, good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Please go ahead, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. It was, thank you very much, Shobha ma'am and team. It was a wonderful session. I attended both the days, and I got so much insight and clarity about it, and learned a lot for myself. And I'm thinking that I can help others through your guidance. Thank you very much. It was an overwhelming and well-planned session. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, Sandeep here. If I go now, I think first of all, I must credit the whole district to have taken up this initiative, and led by Dr. Shobha and the whole team of panelists. Yesterday's session of 2 hours and today's session with case stories. I think it is going in a good way to make a difference. So all my best wishes that we all finally who come into the team to make a difference. So Rotary listens to you is a well-coined term. So please keep up the good work, and thanks for putting all this together in such a short time. The credit goes to all of you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the panelists.
Yeah, again, good evening. I would just like to add whatever earlier people said, same thing. I think it's very well planned and organized. I understand this is not easy, but I think it has been a really good this thing, and people like who are in the non-counseling professions also are able to really understand well. Somebody like me, I would say. So I'm glad I have joined this group, and I definitely want to be contributing a bit whatever I can. But I think it's right. It's going in the really right way, and every session and every word or everything that is being talked is really very well done, very well prepared, organized. So thanks so much. Kudos to all of you, Shobha ma'am, definitely you, yeah, and the team, entire team here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
My esteemed panelists, anything to say, or do we close here?
Hello.
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 Krishna, I think someone is trying to say something, or?
Yeah, hi, this is Suresh here.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sobha and Krishna and team. I attended both the meetings, both the days. It was it was excellent, wonderful, and we learned a lot. It was very informative, and I'm ready to work for this 24 hours. Anytime anybody can call me. My family, my son, my wife, everybody is ready to do. And God will help us, and definitely will hum honge kamyab, I can say. Thank you so much. Hello.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, with permission of the esteemed members, can we close it here? Yeah, in the chat box also I've received several messages, and some of them asking for diet tips and need for more such sessions. We shall be taking it up in the coming days. Thank you all once again. Krishna, I'm done.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Shobha ma'am. You're going to end the meeting now.
Thank you, Stephen sir. Thank you, Geeta ma'am. Wonderful having all of us today in this forum. Thanks to the tech team. Thanks to